Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
We'll go to AD integration. We'll do that AD integration. As you are aware, like a PVW is a web portal used by both the CyberArk administrators and end users. That end user will log into that portal CyberArk PVW portal to connect it to their target missions. As a CyberArk administrator, we need to connect to this PVW portal for creating safe or onboarding accounts or some administrative kind of tasks. There may be lots of things we can do using PVW portal related to configuration. Now how to check whether that PVW service is up and running or not means we need to check the IIS service. Now open command prompt. Open command prompt. Type the command test reset /status. Here we can see the services related to IIS, whether those are running or not. In case if you want to restart this IIS service, just type IIS reset and hit enter. One more back. And if you want to stop, then you need to put the command like IIS reset /stop. And again, if you want to start the service, ls reset /start. Now it's running. In case if you want to stop, you can put stop. This is one way for starting the IIS service. Other way also, we can do through that TDIS manager. You type that command right init mgr, just go to that init mgr. Select on the left hand side pane, you have your server name. Select that server name. On the hand side pane, you have restart button below to main server. If you keep on the hand side pane. Action in action, sir. Either way we can do, but the recommended way is through command only. If you would do that through command, we can check the status also. But here it in case, if it like running, but we can't get granular level. And one more thing what we can do from here is in case, if you want to do IIS binding as a part of hardening the PBU server, we need to modify a few things on the left hand side you have sites. Expand sites and expand a default website and select password. Here we have a few fields. We need to modify these fields. As for the cyber documentation as a part of PBU hardening, and if you want to, in case if your SSL certificate got expert or about to expert, and if you want to renewal that certificate, then we need to raise a request to that PKI team first. They will provide the certificate. First, we need to import the certificate in the BBO server in the certificate store, and we need to bind that certificate in this identity manager console. For binding the certificate, you need to select the default website on the left hand side. On the hand side again, you have bindings under it. Select that and just select the HTTPS. Click on it. After importing that new certificate, in the SL certificate drop down, you can see that new certificate may be popped up here. You need to select that certificate and click on close. That's it. And you need to restart the IAS also post binding that new certificate. Close this window. Now open C drive. CyberArk. Outside CyberArk, PB installation directory like C CyberArk Password Vault Web Access folder. This is the OS level installation directory for the PU server. Now open Vault Info. Here again we have Vault Info. For every component, we have this Vault Info. In real time, we need to put both IPs, means our production vault IP and DR vault IP, separated by comma in the Vault Info for BU and PSM components except CPU. As I told you yesterday, in case if you are going for long-term disaster, then we need to change our production vault to DR vault IP. But for the other components like PBO and PSM, always we need to put both the IPs. Why we need to put both IPs means in case due to some split band scenario or some network issue, sometimes both the walls will be up and running. In that case, to avoid any issues means in case if your PU is not able to reach to production vault, it will point to the DR vault, even though the end users will be able to access the vault. In that scenario, how we can know and how to mitigate that issue means we have a monitoring solution. We need to configure that SMP for both the walls. In case, as expected behavior in the DR vault, only cyber or quality disaster recovery service and database service would be up and running. In case, if this service has got, if cyber quality disaster recovery service got down and other services like private or server event notification is up, then immediately we'll get the email notifications from the SMP server. Then immediately we need to log into Vault and we need to check why our DR will be up and running. We need to stop the DR and only prod will be up and running. And even for DR drills prospect, also here we need to put both the IP's products on Vault and DR Vault IP in the volume files for PU and piece. Close this. Now go one folder up. Open CDF. Software. In installing PU component, we will get two Vault users. Those are PU app user and PU gateway user. Open that PU app user and you can see that username PU app user, and in the same way PU gateway user and password is in encrypted format. These users are Vault internal users. This CRD files will be created automatically during installation in the file system, and one Vault internal user will be created automatically in the Vault server. We can check that in the private archive. But what is this PU user and what is the gateway user? PU user will be used by the PO for internal processing. Means in case if PU launch that web portal, means after browsing that URL, we will get the entire login page. All these internal actions will be carried out by this PU app user and PU gateway user, through which user will access the Vault, means for authentication purpose. PU gateway user will be helpful in background. Close this. API gateway user, no need to touch. Go one folder up. Sorry, you said something. One folder up. Again the World Web Access, no need to check the service web. Now open Windows. C drive Windows. Here we have PV log CyberArk Web Console. Again, this web console log will give the information when this server got restarted or when it got stopped. And what is the error? What is the reason for that? As a bit stop, all those details will be available in the CyberArk Web Console log like in yesterday's class. We have a PM console for CPM in the same way for PView. Cyber Web Console and CyberArk Web Application log will give some more information about that configuration. Scroll to bottom in case. If your Pew server is not able to reach to Vault, then it will give some timeout error. All those stuff will be available in this web application log. You can close this. If you want to check any means what this log be, what information we can check this log. Later you can shut down your Vault and just restart your POBS service and open this log. Then it will give error message like unable to reach to Vault 10.0 bind 1, 1.1 timeout, request timeout, something somewhere related to the communication. It will throw that error in the web application log. Now log into private or client. First we'll check that user. Go to Tools, Administrative Tools, Users and Tools. There we can see two users related to PO. One is PWAP user and other one PViewGate. And the two groups related to PWAP user group and PViewGate user. In case if you are installing second PVO, then that second PIV related users also automatically added to these two groups. And that second PIV user name should be renamed. While installing, only it will prompt. All will already PYApp username exists. We need to rename that username to some different name. Basically, if we are looking at multiple PView servers to be configured, maybe more of a load balancer kind of a thing. Correct. Close this window. After installing Pivo, we will get some around 7 default related to Pview. First one is Pivo config, open that safe. In the pvconfig say we have configuration file related to Pview, that is pvconfiguration.sml file. In July, if you will do any modifications in case you have edited some platform or you have updated some fields in the options, if you do any modification, that modifications will reflected in the pv configuration file. For example, you have duplicated one PSM ID. This is a real-time situation what I have faced. My colleague has duplicated one of the PSM ID, but that PSM ID is already existed in the PV portal. It is a bug. CyberArk will not give any error like already it is existed. It will create one more and immediately after 5 minutes, means after I think 5 minutes, this pview configuration file will be refreshed. Immediately enter power down, means we are not able to access the PV portal. When we have reached a high priority case to CyberArk and then simply they told like we need to, as a check, we need to restore the pv configuration file to older version. Then it worked and then we have compared that existing version and previous version. Then we found that this is the issue. Basically, you had to extract the XML file and put it back. No, close this. This is tedious. I don't know. In case if you want to restore this PV configuration file to previous version, just click and go to versions. I think you have opened that file. First click on return to say now click open versions. Here we can see all the versions, previous versions also. If you want to make the older version as a current version, just to select that previous version. And on the hand side make current version will be highlighted. Don't click now because we have installed a CPM. If you click that make current version, in our lab I faced this issue. While explaining what one guy did, he selected the second option and he changed that to make current version. After that, if you log into View portal and go to administration options, I am unable to see all the CPM related settings below yesterday. I told you in case if you want to enable debug. That entire field I am unable to see. And after some time I realized that again we came back here and we restored it to that the older version what we have the latest. And here if assume that is a version aggression, like if you did any version aggression to 11 to 12. We have to go to the pvconfiguration.xml file and they have to change this version. No need to do all those things because this few configures, we are upgrading CyberArk version, not this content. No need to do all those things, but as a precautionary measures, just we need to back up few files before upgrading. That's it. By itself, it will automatically update that. And for the PV configuration file, if I want to know the existing version configuration PV, I have to go. This version I need to check on. No, there is no such kind of thing. This is related to in case if you make any changes in the View portal, one configuration file will be created with that timestamp and that's it. No, our configuration, not version upgrade. And in case if you are upgrading to a mem.6, then there is a slight difference. Means we need to manually configure that SAML authentication in the sample.config file in the POS level. You have asked that out. I will come back to this part. Now open the file system. I will tell you one more. Open the file system and go to C drive. No file explorer. This is fine. You can keep like this. File explorer C drive. I know. Our root. Password 1. Scroll to bottom and see web. Config is available in this folder, I think. That is a lot of law at that. This is the configuration file related to is. In case you are upgrading to 11.6 version from any previous versions and you are using SAML authentication, then we need to split that authentication related syntax in a different file. That steps will be available in the docs.cyber. You need to make sure you need to do all these kind of checks before upgrading to any newer version. In some newer versions, they have changed some configurations. In case if you haven't updated that SAM.config related parameters in the same .config file, then your SAML authentication will not work. After 1.6, what they did, they have excluded that SAML related parameters from the web.config file. And they have created one more file called sam.config. And they have linked that saml.config in the web.config file. We need to explicitly update all those details related to SAML in the saml.config file. Then only our SAML authentication will work, otherwise it will break. These kind of things we need to read in the docs and we need to do that. You mean to say if existing 11 version web.config file, the SAML authentication, we have to change the syntax, or just what changes we need to be doing the file exactly? If you open this file that you need to check in the docs.cyber.com, or if you want, I will tell you. Open a web.config, we have a nice one on Notepad. Open it to Notepad. Search for SAML. SAM.authentication again search. Again. We have a different section for SAML. Scroll down. I think again we have a different section for SAML again search. Keep on searching. No, that's it. Then the parameter is different. Something we have. I need to check that in docs.cyber.com. But we need to add those SAML configuration related things in the SAN config file. If you install 11.6, you will get a different file related to SAML in the password vault folder, that is samconfig. Help me refresh one more part here, Suman. If I have m.2 as a base version for the vault, and can I upgrade only the PDUA to version 12? That we need to check compatibility check. As far as I know, we can upgrade PSM to 12.246 in case if you are a vaulted and lower version. But I don't remember exactly that compatibility of PVView. For the PView, is it? Is it good to change the vault version if we are changing the PVW version like 2L going with you 2L? We do. Can we recommend to change the vault version always? Also, if we didn't change the version of the vault and we are continuously upgrading the PVW, if there may be some replications or any weekend, can you find some issues on it? There will not be any issue. But for example, if you consider your vault version is 10.7, from version 11.4, I think CyberArk has given permission to install every month Microsoft patches using BUS server. They gave a separate procedure like that. If you upgrade the product version, we will get some benefits. That's it. And if you upgrade your PVView version, they have provided many APIs. For the latest version of PVW, like that, they are enhancing the product capabilities. That's it. But you need to check whether your compatibility of the Vault and PVW. Your Vault version is in 11.2 and recently you have upgraded your PVView version to m.6. That is compatible. But later you are planning to upgrade your PVW version to 2.2, but it will not be compatible. CyberArk will not provide that compatibility. That compatibility matrix also. Also, we need to check before upgrading our servers. But here the main thing is that webconfig and 7config 5, it should be matched for establishment of communication. That's what I'm telling. While upgrading, you need to read the docs. Whatever changes they have changed in the upgrade process, we need to follow that. But what if in a situation when you say that if we had to upgrade it from 11 to CyberArk 12 itself for the vault, I'm saying in that context at least, what is the recommended setup? Should we look for a new server altogether, raise a 12 platform, then replicate the data from 11 to 12, or native upgrade is the recommended one? In case your Vault server is in 2012 operating system, I mean your current version, either 11.12L or 11.6, whatever it may be, always it is better to upgrade your OS level also. Again, 2012 will be end of life. Correct? Yeah. We need to plan that also. For that reason, better we need to upgrade our operating system, means we need to raise a request for a vanilla Vault and with the 2016 operating system, and then we need to install our present version of our Vault and first replicate the data to the new Vault and upgrade that new Vault. Basically, we configure a brand new Vault without anything, then we replicate the data as it is. But when we speak of replication, should it be like, we configure primarily that as a DR, then promote it to a primary or? Correct, exactly. Otherwise, that data will not be replicated. If you want to replicate the data, both the vaults will be in the same version. It's a challenging task here. Why? Because what I've seen, the replication process on the version base. If the both PVWA and the vault versions are the same, the replication process will be the data replication. It will get some errors. Sorry, can you repeat again? If you are doing any operation, like you say, if you have Windows Server and then to and above, you are saying like your current vault is in 2012 and then newly created a vault is in 2016. Then you are saying like some replication errors even though the vault version is same. No, there will be a problem on the production servers. No, that's good. If it is no, that is very good. Why? Because there are some extensions and files for the replication. For the on the Windows OS level as well as the Vault version. If you are copying the entire replication, maybe some errors. There will be any errors in case. If you see any errors in the replication, then what you need to do again, you need to trigger a full replication. Once that full replication is successfully completed, then only we will promote that newly created vault, which is acting as a DR vault, as a primary vault. This is perfect. First, we need to do a replication, then after the operation part. We have jumped from here to there. Open PV configuration, again PV config. Config. Here we have talked about PV configuration XML. Now we have another file called policy.xml. Policy.xml file contains the UAN workflow settings for all the platforms. Also again, I will cover that part in the later classes once I will touch that platform part. But for the time being, you need to remember this policy.xml file contains all the settings related to platforms UAN workflow. In the platform, we have one section called UAN workflow. Those settings will be available in the policy.xml file. In this set, we need to touch this. To only now close this. Now PVF private user prep. Open this. As of now, only one file. You have logged into PVView portal using administrator user. For every user, one user preference file will be created in this safe PVBOF private user preference. This file contains that user preferences. Like you have added some favorites in your PVWF portal. For 10 servers, you have added a favorites. Those kinds of settings will be saved in the PVWF private user prep, safe for each individual user. Sometimes even these files will be logged in. I have observed this kind of situations in DR drills, like we have triggered a failover to DR Vault even though some users have logged in. At that situation, this pv.oaf private user preps that user preferences file got locked with the pv.video.f app user. Then we need to release that file manually. If you want to release that file, just click and unlock. Now unlock. File got grayed out because this file is in active mode. In case, if it is locked, then unlock file will be highlighted. You need to unlock this file. And if you want to delete this file also, you can delete this file. But again, once that user got logged into the portal, this file will be created automatically. But that user preferences will be deleted. Again, he needs to do that settings. That's it. What preferences are we talking about for a user here? Now close the safe and log out, log into pv.oaf portal. Hold on. Maybe for that I could do something. But you can't log into. No, I will log in with my another account which I created yesterday. Maybe I'll just check my user here. For some reason it's not coming up. There you go. In our lab, it will not come immediately. In 30 seconds or sometimes 50 seconds. Because if you are not getting this home page, just do is reset and first launch this console means only 10 byte pen 1.3. Hit enter, and if you are able to see that AS page, then enter the password word at the end of that. Now you have logged in. In case, if you have some 10 server access to your ID, and if you want to put only 5 servers as your favorites, then you need to select those 5 servers and put it as a favorite, means you need to select that star. Apart from that, now click on additional details and actions in classic interface link on the hand side. I wonder why the classical interface was not made a default. Now click on Customize button. Here we can put our preferences. You can see preferences, default pages, accounts, page about drop down. Just keep it down. User details, username, full name, email, preferences. Default. Whenever if you log into portal, it will launch a concert. If you want to put a button as a default page, then you can select the icons. View V10 interface also. Like that. You can select your default page and below you can see objects per page of fit page. If you select that drop down, you can select max 100. All these preferences will be stored in that file. A preview just prep safe. For every user, one user preferences file will be created. And these preferences will be stored in that file. And then this password is something again local to this account which is natively on CyberArk itself. Not for the LDP integrated ones. And does it mean that, even for admin setter, I should be able to come back and reset the password here? Yep. But you need to log in with master for that. Correct. And no need to go for all those stuff because that administrator is internal to our application. So this is V10. Maybe if I log out and log in back, I should get the default page of V10, only the older version. In case, if you selected that preference and I changed that part, for some reason, it's still taking its own pitch. Should I check again? Custom. It's V10, only it got saved. Do is reset and try to log in VC if it is coming or not. I'll reset. That should be it. Should have logged out, but it doesn't matter. Now refresh this and the login. Not coming. Not coming might be. We need to change that. And default view. But here I should be able to see one more. But how do I know that which is mine? In case if it got locked and if you try to log in, if you try to access any save, it will throw one error. On that pop-up, it will give this ID. Can we emulate that part? I know it's not that significant of a thing. But maybe if I lock this file, I think this was the original one. Maybe let's see if there could be some details. We'll see last modified or last used. And maybe we could try and lock one of the accounts and then use as a backup. How you will lock? We need to lock this file. We can lock it here. That is a PBOA account. Sorry, private or client account, what you have logged in. If you click on the clock button again, if you want to log in, it will count for that administrator. Click and see any other options. Properties. You will get this ID on that error message. You need to log into private or client and search for this ID in this safe. Then you need to write it and unlock that. But in what circumstances? You said that will be locked. In case you just have logged into PVWA portal and you triggered failover in some scenarios, that PVWA means this ID means this account is locked by the PVWA app user. After failover to DRBLT, that lock will not be released automatically. In that case, if they browse that, you browse the PVW URL and try to log into any server. At that moment, the request will go to different PVWA. Then it will give an error like object is locked by PVWA app user 1. And object that object ID. Then we need to copy that. ID means immediately. Users will raise a ticket to our operations team. They will copy that ID and they will search in the private or client private user prep save and they need to unlock this. But I'm sure this doesn't happen very often. Even no one knows also. I have faced this issue. I know. That's when you discovered it. We have an article also for this in the CyberArk portal. If you search with that error in the community, you will get the resolution also. Fair enough? I'll not distract. So close this. Next one, TVBOA public data and only to touch the reports. If you pull the reports to the PVBOA portal, that reports will be stored in the PVBOA reports. And PVUA task definition. Again, we need to touch on PVUA ticketing system. PVUA ticketing system. In case if you are integrating CyberArk with any of the ticketing system like RMD or ServiceNow, then that user credentials will be stored in the PVUA ticketing system safe. One user is required to communicate from CyberArk to service portal. That user credentials will be stored in the PVUA ticketing system safe. And again, PVU user preps. Even I never touched this. I have touched the private user prep safe only. I think in PVUA user preps also one object will be created for each user. We have covered user safe services, logs and configuration files. And in case if you are, we can check. If you pull that activity report from the PVUA portal, you will get all the activities, whatever performed on that particular. That activity report means that activity log we can temper. No one can edit that activity log. I mean, after downloading we can edit, but at OS level or remote level we can't edit anything to that activities, whatever performed by the users. And one more, if the user, if it's facing any challenge like problem, can we check that the specific user log what exactly the operations has failed over in the specific user. It depends upon the terror. In case if that user is trying to connect to, for example, if the user is not able to PVWA portal, then first we need to check whether that user is having our cyber or access or not. How we will check? We need to check that user ID is part of our cyber and user group or not. That is the first step. If it is part of the end user group also, that user is not able to log in, then we need to check whether he is entering the correct password or he is entering the correct token number, all those stuff. If it is for one user, then we need to check this kind of troubleshooting. In case if it is for multiple users, then definitely there is an issue with our configuration or something has broken the configuration level. We need to check like that. In case if the issue is related to end user is connecting to one target server, but he is getting username and password prompt while connecting to that target server. It is throwing an error like user number, password is incorrect. Then we need to check in the cyber or portal that account level. Is that password got rotated recently or not? Or password rotation got failed? We need to check all these cases and we need to fix that issue. And in case if that user is connecting to one target mission and after some time, he is getting some pop-up and it is throwing some error. That based on the teller. Again, we need to do that troubleshooting. We need to check, solve this, all the queries in PV Access portal. All the issues related to accounts you need to check in the PV portal. For example, some multiple users are not able to log into PView portal. You are using some SAML authentication or radius authentication. At that moment, you need to enable the debug labels for that radius or sample in the bulk level and you need to check those logs. Again, it depends upon that error. We need to go in that way. Thank you. We have covered pure part. Shall we do that? LDA integration. It will not take much time. Quickly we can complete. Log off from the provider client. Now go to edit. We'll just create the user here. First to create 3 groups. Groups is it? Group startup. Give the name like Cyber Vaulted means. And two more group Cyber are auditors and Cyber can do this. Create one standard account user. You can create one by individual. I'll just call it as bind itself. Put the logon name also bind. Next, set one password and unselect that. Now create three users. You can call it as vaulted mean 1, vault auditor 1 or vaulted mean 1, vault auditor 1 and vault user 1. That should be good. Vaulted mean. What was the third one? What all you created vaulted mean? I think it's only vaulted mean is what I've created. Create two more at vault auditor and the vault user auditor. Before that, can I share my screen once that I will show you how to check that product upgrade. What are the features and what are the changes they have mentioned? I'll stop sharing my screen. If you are planning to upgrade to the any latest version or whichever version, you need to check that nodes and lead nodes. Here you can see for version 11.6, they clearly mentioned like in the version new SAML solution introduced in 11.3 will be enforced. All customers that have to similar to them must switch to new configuration or their unit to ensure every point. Otherwise, after upgrading something will break. For fixing that, we need to start. That's not upgrading from levelware since lower than the min.3 must. This samlconfig file will be available in the password world folder that in the inetub folder. Earlier to 11.3, the SAML configuration is also included in the web config. But the post 11.3 they have split it. Like that, we need to check all these things. And apart from that, we have a good feature in 11.6. Like we can onboard bulk accounts using piport around it. Before 11.6, if you want to onboard bulk account, we need to create some REST API iSplit scripts. We need to use password upload utility tool. But from lab version 11.6, CyberArk itself has provided one option. In the add account button, you have a drop down. There we can import the CSV file. If you import that CSV file and click on Create, if that CSV matches the requirement, then immediately to learn about all the items. Like that, we need to check the religion notes. Then you came to know what are all the new features they have given in that version. And the first few versions they will give LPS. LPS is nothing but a long-term support. Recently they have provided for version 2.6 and till 0.4 or 2.2, I don't remember exactly. Like that, they will give that LTS also long-term support. Go back to you have created 3 users. Add this user 1 to CyberArk Users group. User 1 to CyberArk Users group is it. Click and add to a group. No, it didn't. In the same way, it means to administrators and auditor to auditor. All this is what admin vault admins. Spelling mistake. I don't think I'll be using it. Now you can go to your components server. In that administration configuration options, on the top you have a setup widget. We can do either by using LDA integration, also we can do, or using that setup widget, also we can do that one. This one I haven't tried. Keep on that setup. We did that loading, waiting for that. I'll just log out. Refresher, close this Chrome and reopen again. Looks like your vault is down. Why did it power off? Strange. What is your configuration? It's a GB lab. Sometimes it will happen, but I think I calibrated the add to 1.5 GB, or maybe I'll just cut it down to 1 GB because it's essentially used only for that authentication. Maybe I'll just change it for tomorrow then. I expected this problem or behavior. Change it from 2B to 1.5. Maybe I'll just change it to 1. What is the processor? Now go to components and reload. It's logged in once we refresh this page. Now go to Configuration Administration options. Last one, Configuration options. Setup widget. Here you can see two radio buttons. One is LDA integration and second one is email. If you want to do that SMTP, then we need to go for second option. And if you want to do LDA integration, we need to go for first option. Click on next. Name you can give AD. Cyber AD something some add integration address your AD server IP. And here hold in case if you are doing LDA, pass secure LDA, then we will go with 636. But we don't have that certificate. We can go with 389. And LDA bind, user is bind. You have created one user for replicating, that is bind and bind user password. LDA bind user and bind password. This is for replicating data from the external directory. For example, you have deleted one group or user from the safe. If you want to permanently delete, those things means if you have permanently deleted from the ad, then immediately at regular intervals, this thing will happen. If you configure that parameter, the DB pump that I am in, then automatically the text null groups, which got deleted from the AD, also deleted from the safe level. No need to do that kind of work from our hands. When we did automatically, it will delete from the safe level also. L database context DC equal to what is your domain name cyber. Cyber comma C equal to comma. Click on test button. Below you have one test button. Successfully connected. Click on and click on next. Save and continue. So here we need to map our groups. We have created a Vault admin group, auditors group, and you just put those cyber, it will populate automatically. Type cyber. Select cyber or Vault admins. And the same for auditors and users. It's already defined their Vault auditors and users, the auditors in the group. We have created groups in AD, just we are mapping those groups to Vault level groups. That's it. Click on Finish. For this group from the CyberCom domain, from the CyberCom we given the domain group. From itself, the groups in AD correct. Perfect. We have given our bind user and that DC context. After clicking on Save and Continue, if you type with cyber, all the groups starting with cyber in that domain will be populated automatically. Got it finished. That's it. Your ad integration got completed. Now log out with administrator and select LEP authentication and log in with a Vault admin or Vault editor and Vault user, and you can see that segregation of duties. Vault admin 1, what is that name? Vault underscore admin. Vault admin is part of CyberArk administrators group. And we have mapped that group to our CyberArk administrator group while configuring that AD integration. Due to that reason, you can see full access for this Vault admin. On the left-hand side, you can see full access, system health accounts, configuration settings. Now log out with the Vault admin and log in with Vault user. That's the user one. Now go to AD and see the name once. No, it is user one itself. Then might be password, maybe the password itself. Now you can see only account, step 2 users. But where do we segregate? Maybe what roles of a Vault admin will happen? It's still on the PV will be restricted. While that mapping, you have mapped your AD administrators group to Vault administrators group. You have provided that 3 group names. Correct Vault admins. Now log in with. Basically, you mean to say that if I go through the wizard, it'll automatically, at the backend, elevate those privileges. It's not like a manual. If I just go to LD AP integration, then set what permissions needs. Due to that reason only, we have created 3 groups. One is for admin. If you map that groups correctly to the CyberArk internal groups, then if you add any user to that group in the AD level, and if that user login into PVW portal, that elevated access will be welcome. Now log in with administrator. I will show you. Now click on above LDAP user. I was referring to this one. Here automatically if I do through the wizard, it's kind of map. But if I had to change permissions, that's when I come back and modify it. You need to delete that group and another group. But what permissions would he need is all. How do I change it? Click on cancel. For example, in your team 1 L2, L3 guy has joined. First, you need to provide access to that guy. For that reason, what you will ask him to raise your editing for adding his ID to CyberArk Vault admin. Once it is added at AD level, then immediately if you log into the PVW portal, he will get the administrator access. That's it. Because we have mapped that administrator AD group to our Vault administrator group. If you are spending cyber and dashboard, what I was trying to say is, see, my natively administrator has this option of configuration options and platform management. If I would want to have AD authenticated privileges to this, I'm sure there is somewhere I will have to go ahead and maybe elevate this group itself. Maybe add those in a Vault admin, then backup and restore of the saves, save permissions, authorizations. That we need to do it in private arc. That was my point. This is all about Telop integration. Then we connect tomorrow and we see more about this. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.